Hello everyone, how's it going? Dr. Incompetent here, and let's do a beginner's guide for Cobalt Core, shall we? This is a deck building roguelike that I have been playing a ton of, and I really enjoy it. It's like, sort of, thematically, if you took a space kind of dogfighting game like FTL and made it into a Slay the Spire world, you get that sensibility of sci-fi, but decision-making, and you add in some positional stuff that's unique to dogfighting with spaceships, and you get Cobalt Core. So we're going to dive in here. I've made a new profile, so we just start at ground zero. And with this clean account, you can play along, you can watch along, see if Cobalt Core is the kind of game you might want to check out, or if you just got it, you can learn how to play. I'm going to explain the fundamentals, the UI, the controls, some tips and tricks and strategies that I've picked up along the way, and we're going to even play through the kind of obligatory first run tutorial, and I will supplement any other information and fill in gaps I feel that might need to be explained so that you can completely understand this game, because once it all comes together, it really is a blast to play. So let's dive in right here. Cobalt Active Terminal, loading Personality Core Corrupted. Interesting. Kitty Cat says, Personality Core patched, encrypting memory bank. Hello, says cat.exe. Hey, wake up. Perry. Oh, my head. Alright, good. Your vitals seem to be stable. What's happening, says Dizzy. I had to wake you all up from cryo sleep early. There wasn't enough time to fully restore your memories. Riggs says, my memories? I needed those, I assume. Sorry, I had no choice. The command terminal will only respond to meat-based life forms. And there's a ship off the bow powering up their weapons. Everyone to the bridge, now. Alright, so here we are. No time to lose, we're in combat. And this game is going to walk you through the basics of combat. You're on rails for a bit here, and let's do it. Play cards to outwit your opponent. You draw 5 cards each turn, and this is your hand, you can see on the bottom. Each card costs energy, which is in the top left. We have 3 energy per turn. Use it or lose it. Energy doesn't last between turns. So this means every turn, currently, we will get 3 energy. And we can choose and play any cards that add up to a combination of 3 energy, or we can not, if we want to save some energy for no good reason right now. Attack your enemy with attack cards. So basic shot, for example, is an attack card. It tells you right here, the sword icon means it attacks for 1 damage. And this is the only card they're going to let us play at the moment. Now, I want you to kind of... The screen's kind of dimmed out a little bit. You can't see everything. But you notice how when I hover over basic shot, a few things I want to explain. Number 1, this card is like a white card, meaning it does not belong to any of your crew members. It is a starting card in the deck for the ship. And the other thing is it's going to fire from our cannon. And you could see in the center of the screen, there's like a blue arrow and a blue lane illuminating from the tip of our cannon, meaning that the shot comes from this and goes up into the ship. If this ship were positioned in such a way that the cannon did not hit it with this, we would not do any damage. But because right now we're in range of the ship and it is going to be hit by the cannon, we can play this and bam, do 1 damage. You can always see what an enemy is planning to do. The enemy intends to attack you for 1 damage. So this cannon on this ship, this cicada drone here, is going to attack us for 1, but not until the end of our turn. So it's not like we play a card and they go. It's we do all of our stuff and then we say end turn, and then they're going to do what is displayed on the screen. So very much like Slay the Spire in that way. And we can plan around it. So we can block their attack with some shield. So we have this basic block right here, the shield icon. Well, that means a shield, and we get 1. It costs 1 energy, so we use it. And we still have an energy, and it says play the rest of your turn out by yourself. So this tutorial will proceed as new elements are introduced to the game. It's going to supplement, and it does a very, very good job of just explaining everything for us. This game has a super crisp UI with full transparency about most things. I will try to explain everything that I didn't get the first time, but I think it's pretty intuitive. The strategy is where I need to do most of the work here in the guide. Now, that being said, I'm only going to explain like my thought process and the basics of how I understand the game, but I'm not going to tell you exactly how you should play, what you should do. It's not like a min-max, this build is the best kind of a deal. It's more just learning enough of the basics so that you can make decisions, develop your own playstyle, because there's really a lot you can do, especially once you start unlocking more crew members and ships. The game is kind of like many other deck builders in that it has a progression system behind the scenes to unlock more characters, cards, artifacts, and ships. But then, I believe, once you've done all of that, then you can just do infinite runs, and it's like a full roguelike. There's just some collecting you have to do up front so that you get to earn some rewards and things. So we only have access to these 3 crew members in this ship. And what are we going to do right now? Well, these red bars down here on our ship, this is our hull. If you mouse over it, it tells you we have 12 hull points, which are red, and then the shield is in blue. We have 4. Currently, this means a maximum of 4. Even if I played a bunch of shield, I could only get to 4. So this guy's going to do a damage to us, but damage first is applied to your shield and then to your hull. So this will hit our shield and not do any hull damage to us, unless the damage is piercing or something, but it would be displayed. It would tell you that. It's not. Now, what do we want to do? We currently could play basic shot, we could play multi-shot, or we could play shield surge. So, for me, shield is not carried over unless you get a special ability or an artifact or something, and we have 1 to burn, so I'm not too psyched about playing defensively right now, and I'd rather probably do multi-shot and do 2 damage. Multi-shot, it says 1 damage and then 1 damage again, meaning like you attack for 1 and attack for 1. This is important because it can scale, but it can also get destroyed if they have armor on that section. They do not. It would be displayed. And it's just strictly better than basic shot for us right now. Shield Surge would give us 1 blue shield and then 1 temporary shield, which is the kind of like magenta shield. And damage is actually subtracted from temporary shields first, then real shields, then hull. Temp shields go away at the end of the turn. So this would give us an extra shield, and we'd have 2 shield basically if we played this, and then the temp shield will get taken away by this blast, and we go into next turn with 2 shields. So there's nothing wrong with this, but I like being more offensive, trying to finish this fight. You could see their ship, if I mouse over, they have 8 hull and 3 out of 4 shield. So we need to start working through their shield. They're not generating any shield this turn. They're just going to blast us with this laser here. Another thing that's worth explaining is you can see I have several crew members on the side, 3 of them, and you can mouse over them. And Dizzy is our science officer, and it says his cards are mostly shielding and shield manipulation. Riggs is our pilot, and her cards are mostly flexible movement and card draw. And Perry is our weapons officer, and her cards are mostly attack and instant movement. So for example, this purple card is a Perry card. It matches the crew member's colors. Like I said, the basic shot is just a generic card, doesn't match a crew member, and yep, the shield is indeed Dizzy's. This becomes relevant with certain artifacts and interactions. It's not huge right now, but if I were to swap out and use a different crew member than Dizzy, for example, then Shield Surge would not be a card that I could get. You can only get cards for the crew members that you have, and then all of those are shuffled together to make your deck. In fact, if I go up in the upper left and I click on Show Deck, you can see all the cards that I have right here. You could scroll up and down with the mouse wheel, and here are like the basic starter cards to generic cards, and we have 2 cards for each crew member, and we'll kind of look at them more contextually. Other things that are worth noting: I have 1 energy left. You could see in the bottom left. You could see here in the bottom right, I have my discard pile. You can at any time click on that and see what it is. I have my exhaust pile. I haven't exhausted any cards. They have a special indicator that will tell you that when you play the card, it will exhaust. You can see what cards you have remaining by clicking on your draw pile. And you can also click on the map, but I don't know if we can click on that now, and I don't necessarily want to talk about it. I'm just kind of explaining the UI. And then you can see in the upper right just who you're fighting. You can mouse over any part of the enemy's ship and your own ship to get information about it, but generally there will be special icons that you'll learn as we go that will show you if a part is vulnerable or has an intention or has armor or something. But you could see, like, this is their cockpit, this is their cannon, and you could see where the damage is coming from. This red lane right here is the damage. So if I were able to move my ship using like some rigs movement cards out of the way of this red beam, then I wouldn't even need to block with my shield at all because it would just miss me. So all that being said, let's play multi-shot. Bam bam, hit him twice. And now we're out of energy and it's time to end the turn. So we click end turn or push spacebar on the keyboard. So now you can see they're going to do this giant attack for 5 damage. This is pretty scary. But we can use evade to dodge attacks. So we can play this basic dodge card right here to gain 1 evade. And so this is not a choice. This is, you have to do this. And you can see that statuses are shown below the ship. Some have passive effects, others are used as resources. Evade is a status you can use to move around. So evade is always marked like this: blue, left and right, arrows, and then it tells you how many you have. So currently I can move 1 lane to the right or the left with our ship. And you just click these giant buttons over here to move to the right or left. So we need to spend 1 evade to dodge the shot. Any evade you don't use will carry into future turns. This is incredibly important. Unlike temporary shields or energy or things like that, your evade will stay. So I'm going to play this, and you see I move over. You got the basics down. Remember, you can always hover over cards, characters, or anything else for more info. Good luck out there. Thanks. Okay, so now I have 2 energy left. I have a bunch of cards, and you can see that this shot is going to miss me. So the world is our oyster. We have 0 cards in our draw pile, which means at the end of the turn we're going to shuffle our discard pile and draw 5 cards from all of our cards together. What do I want to do right now? Well, let's look at the options. I could play block shot, which will do 1 damage and give me 1 temporary shield. You can see if I mouse over this that my cannon is still going to hit their ship, and if you're ever curious, like, you can mouse over it, and yep, indeed, that's their wing, so it'll hit them, and do 1 damage. It will give me a temporary shield, which I don't need at all, because I'm not going to be taking any damage, but it does do a damage. I can also play draw shot, which will attack, and then draw 2 cards. And I have no cards to draw right now, so it would just, shuffle up my discard pile and draw from that. I can play Scramble, which costs 2 energy, but would give us 2 evade, so for future turns we could have the ability to move left and right as needed. And I can also play Lunge, which is an interesting one where you always act on these cards from top to bottom. So it has 2 things. It's going to move us to the right instantly, 2 lanes or spaces to the right, and then fire the cannon. Now, if I do this, I will miss because I will be like, my cannon will be over here and not hit them. So I don't want to play this. I am actually going to play Scramble and not do any damage to them right here. I know it's a slow play, but I really, really love being able to maneuver. So I'm going to play Scramble, and I'm just going to end the turn. So here they go. They want to come hit us. And in this position, we can start thinking about doing damage. First of all, in terms of how I act in this game, I look at what's happening to our ship. They want to do 1 damage with this cannon. I could easily move over. Moving over spends evade. Remember, it does not spend energy. And if I moved over to the right, I'm hitting their wing, which does this. Any part of the ship does the same amount of damage unless you can see it has armor or vulnerability, which is like fragile or something. It's not. So I could move over, have 3 energy, and then just blast this thing and take no damage, not have to worry about playing a shield. You factor this in first. Am I getting hurt? Am I in trouble? We're not. We're fine. So we can focus on doing damage right here. I don't need to move first. I can just play multi-shot. Bam, bam. And you could see, like, Riggs is reacting. Your crew members just kind of, have commentary, which is fun. And then I have these basic shots. Now, generally, these basic cards are not very good. Usually, you want to play better cards than these, but this is the starter deck, so what are we going to do? Nothing wrong with doing a damage. And I'm going to do another damage and move over. That's why I played the card to give us 2 evades so that we can just have a nice turn like that. Now this turn, this ship is not even going to attack us. It's going to apply a status effect to itself, which is this green plus arrow. So it's going to, like, do something nice to itself, and then it's going to raise its shield. So its blue is going to go up. So we want to try to maybe do as much damage as we possibly can right here. Now, I didn't draw a lot of damage. Lunge is going to miss. Block shot, again, I don't really need a temporary shield. So in situations like this, I like to play draw shot first. We've already checked their intentions. They're not going to hit us, so we don't have to move around. We don't have to use a shield. We can focus on attacking. This is going to use 1 energy, do a damage, and then we get to draw 2 cards, and we can see what options we have. And we drew a really good one, which is multi-shot. Bam, bam. And unfortunately, we can't do 2 damage with 1 energy right here to finish them off. So what I'm going to do is just do 1 damage, like that. Now, they're almost dead. They are going to shield up, but we're in a position where we could maybe kill them next turn. Let's see what cards are remaining in our draw pile. You can see next turn, we're going to draw all of these because we draw 5 and there's only 4 here. So we're guaranteed to draw all of these. And this is 3 damage. So as long as they don't put up more than 2 shield, we should be able to defeat them. And as long as their ship doesn't move out of the way. Let's see what happens. So they applied this status effect right here to themselves. Remember, you can mouse over anything called Power Drive. And this adds 1 damage to all attacks, which is why their cannon is now dealing 2. Now that's a lot of damage. You do not restore hull points between fights in this game unless you have an artifact or other means of doing that. So we don't want to take damage, but if we can defeat them before they get to act, then they don't fire on us. If we kill them on our turn, they don't get to take their turn. So right away I see I've got multi-shot. 1, 2. And any of these will finish them off. Bam. Alright, so it says pick an artifact. Artifacts are held by the ship's crew and change the rules of combat. You can have multiple artifacts on each crewmate. So some artifacts are for your crewmates over here, and some just go on the ship itself, which go on the cat. Warp Prep goes on the ship itself. It's just like a gray artifact. It's not color-coded to one of our crew members. The crew members you choose for a run also determine kind of like what artifacts are out there, because they can only be equipped by certain members. And this gives you 1 shield and 1 evade on the first turn. I love this artifact. It's so wonderful to have a free shield and evade on the first turn. We will take it, and you can see it goes up here on the cat, and you can mouse over it at any time to get its tooltip again. And then now we get to choose a card. So it's a deck builder. It's a choose 3. There's 2 uncommon cards and a common. That can be important, but what do we want to do right here? Well, let's look at these cards and talk about what they do. Blocker Burnout costs 0, but it has a negative. It removes 1 maximum shield capacity for the rest of combat. So currently with our ship, we have 4 shield capacity. You could see that in the bottom left right here if you mouse over. We have 12 hull, 4 shield. This, though, for free, it takes that away, which is a bummer, but it's only for the rest of combat. So for the next fight, you'll have your full shield capacity. And it gives you 4 temp shields. So this kind of just like lets you basically soak a huge attack. That's kind of cool. Big shield, 2 energy, just gives you 3 shield. It is capped by your max shield, so if you have 3 out of 4 shields and you play this, you're only getting 1. But it's, you know, it's a nice defensive card. But I'm drawn to this nice Riggs card here, this Charge Beam. This says attack for 0. Each time this card is drawn this fight, you add 2. So what does this mean? Charge Beam costs 1, and the first time you draw it, I believe it does 2. I don't think it ever does 0, but we'll we'll play it out to see if I'm right about that, if I'm remembering correctly. It exhausts. In the bottom right corner, that little icon that's purple, the kind of like checkerboard there, you could see underneath attack it says if you play it, it'll remove it for the rest of combat. So what you're doing is you're not playing this, you're, you know, kind of just leaving this in your hand and then shuffling your deck, and the next time you draw it, it's going to do 4 damage for 1 and 6 damage for 1. So you see it just improves by 2 each time. And this is really, really nice to have a low energy cost, high damage card. So I'm going to take this. It's not going to be great all the time, you know, early. Sometimes we'll play it, but it's really, really a fun card when you have a small deck and you can draw cards. So if you look at our deck, we have already draw shot, and we have, you know, only 10 cards. So we're going to be going through it a lot, and this is going to build up pretty quickly. So I like it. I'm going to take it. Riggs says, okay, I'm starting to remember. Dizzy says, right, the Cobalt, the hyperdrive. Yeah, you blew it up. Maybe. I vaguely remember pushing a button, then the white light. Yeah, you blew it up. Guys, shut up. You have this argument every loop. I've heard it 517 times now. Fine. Alright, we got the coordinates of the Cobalt programmed in. Let's get there and stop the time loop. See? Riggs remembers, usually she's the last one. I'm improving. So what is going on here? Now we see the map. I didn't want to show you before, but here it is. The story emerges as you play. The more runs you do, the more memories come back, the more things you're going to start to piece together about the narrative, which is fun. Now, when you see this map right here, we're in Zone Lazuli Nebula, which you start every run in Lazuli. That's in the upper right, and it's very similar, except horizontal, to something like a branching path of a roguelike that you're familiar with, like Slay the Spire or, you know, Darkest Dungeon 2 or whatever it is. And you get to choose where you go. There's no way to avoid this boss at the very end, but you can see that right now we have 3 different options we can take. Every single time I play a roguelike of this kind, I look for the option to fight as many elites as possible, which are these kind of purple skulls. Looks like we can only get 1. So given the fact that no matter which path I take, I can only get one elite, we want to prioritize repair yards, artifacts, but there's just one guarantee. I like repair yards a good bit because they allow you to either remove a card, upgrade a card, repair your hull, and the unknown events, who knows what's going to happen. These are fun. And these blue skulls are always a common enemy that gives you a card reward. So if I'm looking at the path, this path down here lets me go to a repair yard, and then an event, then 2 fights, an artifact, repair yard, an elite, another repair yard, and then the boss. If I want this one, I can fight 4 encounters. You could take either one. You know, it's fine. The encounters in this, at this difficulty level, are not challenging, but I don't really want that many cards right now with my charge beam, and I'd rather go down here to the repair yard and show you that. Howdy, how's it going? Oh, you know, same old. What's this, loop 400 or something? 517. Well, let's get you on your way. Can I get you anything? So you have some choices. We can remove a card, upgrade a card, or no thanks. Both of these, removing and upgrading, are very good. If I click remove a card, for example, I could just take out a card that I would never play. Like, I would never play Basic Block, probably, because I have Shield Surge, which is just so much better. So we could remove that. You know, Basic Shot, for example, is bad compared to Draw Shot or Multi-Shot, right? So maybe I want to take that out. But right now, what I'd rather do, I'm just going to click cancel. You can back out, and you can go to upgrade, and you can say, what if instead I upgraded a card? What if I upgrade Charge Beam? What are my choices? Well, here's Charge Beam, and you actually get kind of a upgrade A or upgrade B that you can choose here. So I could go and I could say, all right, well, I could make Charge Beam attack for 0. Each time this card is drawn, add 3. So I could just make it do more damage faster and it still exhausts, or I could make it do less damage but not exhaust. So it would cost 0, and then, you know, I could just play this every time I draw it and it just progressively gets stronger. This is definitely a weakening of the card, but the idea of having an attack I get to play for free every time I draw it is very appealing to me, so I'm going to just do this. And see if we can give our deck like a sense of identity, that what we're trying to do is just kind of draw that card a bunch. So I'm going to go here to the unknown. Unmanned ship ahead, and it's hailing us. Oh, it's an old AI. It says, welcome, how can I help you? So we can have 2 random cards get upgrade A, 2 random cards get upgrade B, remember the different paths that we just looked at, or choose a card to upgrade. This is an awesome event to get, and I'm fine with the power of 2, even if I don't know what they are. I'm going to choose 2 upgrade A. Okay, great. This is phenomenal. So basic dodge is now free, so every time we draw this, it's 0, and we just get an evade. I love that. And then Shield Surge is just going to give us 2 full shield and 1 temp for 1. I mean, that's so strong. Do we need any other assistance? No, thank you. You may shut down now. Yes, Commander. It's hard seeing an AI in that kind of state. It really is. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, this is a gnat, this little ship that we're fighting. It's worth mentioning ships come in all shapes and sizes. This ship is only 3 spaces wide. If I mouse over it, you see it only has 5 hull and 3 shield. It's tiny, but it packs a punch. It wants to do 2 right away. It's also kind of hard to hit, but never fear. We've got a lot of cool stuff we can do right here. Okay, so I want it's you can see it's going to apply a positive status effect to itself. We need to kill this guy as fast as we can. First of all, charge beam all day. Just go ahead and remember when I was debating, it does do 1 damage the first time. Next time it'll do 2. We are then going to play block shot, and we're going to play basic dodge for free, of course. Remember, we started with an evade because of our warp prep, and we started with a shield because of that. So with our regular shield and our temporary shield, we can take all 2 damage. Now, I can also play lunge to move out of the way, but unfortunately, I will miss the shot because you move first and then shoot, and this ship is so darn small that I will miss. But let's do something else instead. If I basic shoot, and then I lunge, you can see I miss, which is a shame, but now I can actually move to the right using 1 evade and not take any damage because this guy's going to miss. Remember, it would have just eaten my shield, but this way I get to keep a shield for the subsequent turn if necessary. So I'm just going to say end the turn, and you could see the ship moved itself over. And ships can move on their own. Sometimes they want to move in front of you to fire, sometimes they want to move away from you. This enemy gained a status, and we need to hover over it to see what it does. As the cat is telling us, this status is very annoying. It's called auto dodge. So it says if fired on, it'll completely move out of the way to the right, and this decreases by 1 every time it triggers. So what this means is our first attack is going to guaranteed miss, and they will move out of the way from our cannon to the right. So if I play draw shot right here, you can see it just moves and we miss. But now, we have a chance to do some real damage here. Because we've got this upgraded shield surge, I'm feeling comfortable about moving over so that our cannon is going to hit their wing, playing multi-shot, and then playing this. I could also, if I don't care about my shield situation, I could go for the more aggressive path of playing block shot after I move over. So let's move over. Moving over takes the last of my evade. I have none left. I'm in the multi-shot. Bang, bang. It's only got 3 hit points left. So do I want to hit it, or do I want to get some shield? I'm going to be a little bit more casual and just play my shield right there and end the turn. We still have 2 shield, and what this means is now we do not need to worry about the damage it's doing to us too, because we still have 2 shield. Now, it's worth noting that if fired on, only applies if the shot's going to hit, if memory serves. So we can't just fire randomly and it will dodge. It needs to actually hit it. So I'm going to play basic dodge. We can move out of the way. And then I'm going to draw shot. Why am I playing draw shot? Playing draw shot to draw as many cards as I can so that we can keep shuffling and draw this faster and faster. Now, I have 2 energy left. We're going to play lunge so that we move over, because I can't move my ship left and right. I have no evade left. That's why this guy's really annoying, because you have to have a lot of maneuverability to keep up with his dodging, but lunge is the secret for that. So we lunge, and now he's got 2 hit points left, and charge beam toast, or multi-shot, either way. Alright, so now we have 3 choices. We could pick feint, which moves us to the left 2 and gives us a temp shield, block shot, which we know, or juke. Juke is interesting because it costs 0, and it randomly picks either right or left to move you 3. It's an okay card, it can really help you, but it's kind of like an emergency situation, and I don't want to pad the deck with extra cards like that right now because of my charge beam. So I want to take cards that I'm going to actually play, probably every single time that I draw them, and that's going to be a block shot. I'm fine with another card like that. I don't need a lot, but 1 more is great. Let's go here. And it's a stinger. Be careful, the enemy's going to launch an object. We don't know what it is yet. So this guy is probably going to, launch missiles maybe at us or something like that. And we'll be talking about the mid-row. So you can mouse over this and see they have a missile bay, and they're going to launch something. And then this is their cannon. They're going to hit us for 1. Remember, we do have a free shield. So the very first thing that we want to do is charge beam. Just do some damage. I'm going to lunge over, like so. I'm actually going to play Scramble to get me to evade and just slide out of the way. Keep my shield. Indeed, they launched this missile. So the missile goes in the mid-row. Many things can go in the mid-row. Asteroids, drones, etc. Objects in the mid-row are between you and the enemy ship and can block attacks. They're much weaker than the ship and will be destroyed if they get hit by anything at all. And so basically this missile is huge, and it's going to deal 3 damage. It's going to move straight ahead. It's not a homing missile or anything. So if we just move over, I'm going to play basic dodge for 0, move over. This missile is now not going to hit us. It's just going to, on its turn, they go, this is important, the mid-row for them will go on their turn from left to right. And it'll miss us. So we are going to get hit by this, but we do have a shield. Let's multi-shot. 2. Remember that block shot we took? Let's do it. And the question is, do I want to play a basic shot for 1, or do I want to just, really, really fortify our defense? And I'll be conservative and just play this. You could see my temporary shield kind of go over here to the right. And when we end the turn, the mid-row goes first, then they fire. They fired another missile. Now, if I were to use my basic shot right now, I could just shoot this missile out of the sky, which is not a bad idea. But I don't even need to bother, because I can be sneaky and evasive and just lunge, move over 2, like so. We could draw a shot, try to get our charge shot. We didn't, but we're getting closer. And I'm going to multi-shot, bing bing, and just move over to the right. Now this is going to do 2 damage. It's going to do 1 damage twice. 1x2 is what that means. So it's going to hit our wing twice for 1 damage 2 times, just like our multi-shot. I can, if I want, move over and take no damage. But I have enough shield, I'm going to actually sit here and save my evade in case on their turn they're going to do something and I actually want to have some evade so I can position properly. So I'm going to just end the turn. Okay. And you can see we have a shield left. They have 1 hit point. Charge beam. Toast. All right. So we've got ourselves 3 common cards: Bolt, Scoot, and Feint. I'm a huge Bolt fanatic. Like, if you watched my Let's Play, by the way, I'll link that in the description below. Played this a ton when I had COVID off camera, just was practicing the game. I just love Evade. It's so versatile and helpful. And Bolt is a cool card because you just get 1 for free and the card exhausts itself, so it doesn't really bog you down. Some of these cards, like Scoot, is very powerful, but sometimes you don't want to go to the right. Same thing with Feint. I like Bolt. I'm going to take it. Let's get an artifact. So here it says pick an artifact. We only get to choose from 1, and it's an overclocked generator. And this is phenomenal. We get 3 energy every turn, but every 3rd turn we'll get an extra 1, so we'll have 4. So this is just a beautiful thing to have, and you see the 0 here? This is keeping track for you, so you know when it's going to trigger. We're going to go into the repair yard. Hey, sup? Can I get you anything? Absolutely. I want to upgrade some cards. Or a card. So, for me, we could just remove a bad card like Basic Block. Or we could upgrade Basic Shot and just make it do 2 damage. Or be free for 1, but 2 damage is so good. But instead, I am going to go back and I am going to remove Basic Block. And I'm going to say remove. And the reason is I want Charge Beam, and I never will play that card. So we're fighting an elite. What on earth is that ship? It has so many guns. It's Jumbo! Hey! Did you guys know there's a big bounty out for a ship with your registration number? We did not. Thank you for letting us know. No sweat. Well, we better be getting on our way. No. Alright, so we gotta fight this guy. This part is brittle. It takes double damage from attacks, so this is huge. This dude has a bunch of guns, which is really scary, but his cockpit right here is brittle. That the red skull icon means brittle. So if we shoot it, we're doing double damage, and even though he has 20 hull, he has no shields. So this is very big. We're going to play Charge Beam. I'm not going to lunge. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to block shot, and I'm going to shield surge. I wanted to scramble, but we just don't have enough. I do not want to use this because you notice if I move to the right or left, his guns are doing more damage. So right now, I'm just getting hit by only these two in the wings for one, but I have enough temporary shield that I'm actually not going to take any damage. So I'm just going to leave the energy. I'm not going to play this, and I'm going to end the turn. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to be able to keep moving over and hitting this spot to do double damage. We're going to play Bolt immediately. We're going to play basic dodge right away. We're going to move right here. Now we're targeting. We are getting hit by 4 things at once, so we have to watch that. I'm going to play draw shot to do 2 and draw 2. Here we go. Multi-shot will do 4 damage. It's going to do 1 doubled twice. So look at that. Now we have a decision to make. There's no reason to not play block shot, so we will. And currently, with our shields, we could take 0 damage, but if I want to save a shield, I could move us right or left. And so I will, just like that. And we saved 1 shield. Now, that being said, he moved this way, and we can't actually move over far enough, so we need to play draw shot to see if we can get like a lunge, and we did. So, what do we want to think about? If I lunge over 1, 2, and then move over, I can hit him here. And let's see if we have enough for lethal. This is a count for lethal. So we lunge over for 2, and we do 1 damage, and that will put him at 6. This will do 4 damage, which will put him at 2, and then we have a multi-shot, and he's dead. So, in fact, it's actually... Let me take that back. We can do better than that. We can move first and then lunge, do 2, do 4, toast. Hey, a rare card. So, common, rare, uncommon. Echo is very good for what we're trying to do. Endless Magazine, we already looked at Juked. Echo would basically let us search our discard pile like if Charge Beam was in there, and then put it back on the top to make so that we keep drawing it. But you don't draw it immediately. It goes to the top of your draw pile, so you draw it next turn, so it's okay. But Endless Magazine just gives us a chip shot. Endless Magazine is kind of like, in Sway the Spire terms, a power. You play this, it costs 2, you play it, and then every turn you are going to draw a chip shot for 0 that does 1 damage. The little ghost icon in the bottom right means it's temporary. It just doesn't permanently add it to your deck. It's removed at the end of combat. And the chip shot itself exhausts. But it's a nice way to just have damage every turn. I'll tell you what, though. Even though I love this card, I'm going to just get really greedy and see if we can make Charge Beam do its thing. Okay, now we actually get to choose between 3 artifacts. So you beat an elite. You get a card selection, which is usually going to contain a really powerful card, and then you get an artifact selection as well. So which artifact do we want right here? The chaff emitters. Seeker missiles and other homing missiles can't see you if you're 2 or more spaces away from them. This is very nice, so that if you have a ship that has a lot of evasion, you can just get far enough away that Seeker missiles and homing missiles can't see you. If you don't have this, Seeker missiles and homing missiles just do not miss, regardless of where you are. So it's a nice thing to have. Crosslink, Says every 5th time you attack, gain 1 evade. I love this. And then Armored Bay puts armor on your missile bay. So our missile bay is right here to the left of our cannon, as you could see in the bottom left, and we would just get armor on this. So if somebody was hitting us, it would reduce the incoming damage by 1 unless it had, the ability to pierce through armor. And that can be so useful to kind of tactically plan for something hitting that portion of the ship and doing nothing. It's not bad, but for me, hands down, what I want is crosslink. Remember, evasion sticks with you the whole fight, and we're attacking all the time anyway. Just having an extra evade here and there can mean all the difference in the world. And we don't, it's annoying, Seeker missiles and homing missiles, but most of the enemies don't have these, so you're not going to see it a lot. This is cool, don't get me wrong, I just love evade, so I'm going to take this. Again, you can see the counter in the 0 in the bottom right of our artifact. That'll tick up, and it'll show you, once you've done a 5th attack. And it doesn't reset after each fight, it's just every 5 times you attack, you get an evade. Alright, and let's go here. Hello! Hello! Let's upgrade a card this time. I don't think that the repair shop will even show you the option to repair the hull unless you have damage to your hull, so just bear that in mind. Another thing that's worth mentioning that I love in this game is that there's no money. So it's not like when you get to a shop in many of these games, you have to spend money. You get to do all of these things and do whichever one you want. There's no money at all, but it's only one thing. Can I make Echo better? This is better. So, we want Echo B. Echo A is good, because it's free, but Echo B is even better, because remember, here's what we're using this for. We're using this specifically to get the card that we want, Charge Beam, out of discard and play it again so that it keeps getting stronger and stronger. Now, it is worth mentioning, let me look at my deck really fast. You know what? I'm doing something new. I've never seen this interaction in the game, and if you know, please tell me, but I'm looking at the card text here. I do not know if pulling Charge Beam out of discard with Echo B and putting it into my hand would technically count as drawing it. And if it doesn't, then it's not worth it to go to Echo B. We want to put it on our draw pile so that we do draw it the next turn. So it's unfortunate, but I think that's what we want to do. Is there anything else that I might want to upgrade? Scramble. We could make it so you get 3 evade, or we could make it so you play it and you randomly move left or right and get 2 evade. I actually hate that. I don't want randomness when I play that card, generally. Bolt, you can get 2, or you can make Bolt so that it doesn't exhaust and it just is 0 for 1 evade every time, which is really cool. Lots of really good choices here. Block shot, I mean, you can get 2 damage and a permanent shield, or 1 damage and 3 temp shield. I love this. I love 2 damage and a permanent shield. It's so good. We also might want to make one of these really bad cards better. Just make it do 2 damage. But let's just make this free, so that we can really, really lean into that every single time. And now we're going to fight a boss. Riggs, are you picking up any hostile ships on radar, says Dizzy. No, why? My sensors are going crazy over here. Let's see, no warp core signatures within a light year. Switching sensors to visual spectrum. Ah, big crystal, huh? Big crystal. And there it is. And it's a big crystal. And it's shooting at us. So the crystal, the boss of the very, very first little zone here, is like this early in the game. And has no armor, doesn't do anything special. Just is big and wide and shoots us, and we can shoot it back. So let's draw a shot. There we go. Charge beam, bam. Basic dodge. Lunging over does not save us from any damage. Block shot is quite useful here. I think what I'm going to do is just do a basic shot and move over one. Our temporary shield will take the damage, and here we go. Now they're going to do 2 right here, which is annoying. Now, here's what we want. Okay, we got to play Echo A first, and we want to put Charge Beam on the top, so we guarantee that we draw it right there. Next turn, get that going. I could play Scramble for 2, but Shield Surge absorbs all of the damage by itself. And if I block shot, I get to keep even more because we upgraded this. It's so strong. I want to play multi-shot, but I don't want to play multi-shot and then scramble and then just move out of the way. I like the idea of multi-shot, 2 damage. Bam, bam. Okay. And then Shield Surge. So you could see we will take the 2 temp shields will get blown off in 1 shield, but that's it. And we can just stick where we are. Alright. Now, this is exactly why we do this with something like Echo A. You got to get the sequencing right. We play Charge Beam first. Okay, do our 2 damage. Then play Echo A. And make sure you get Charge Beam back. And now, next turn, we get to draw it. We play Bolt. We play Basic Dodge. We play this. So we're don't even have to move. And we're stacking up our evade. And the next attack, we get another evade. So we're in really, really good shape right here. We have all this extra energy. We could probably get a more expensive card in our deck at some point. Alright, so this is doing 3 damage. We want to get out of here. But let's just go ahead and do Charge Beam. And let's do Draw Shot. Okay. I'm going to multi-shot. I'm going to block shot. And I'm going to shift us over 1. You can see, remember we got this. We're about to get another one. I could move over completely. I have so much, why not? Let's do this. Let's save all of our shields. We lose our temp shield. Now they're doing a lot of damage. So it's time for a variety package. So we want to move over to not get hit by this 2. One of the things I always look for here is like, all right, where are we taking damage? It's a lot, but a lot of it's 1. So playing lunge is very good here. I'm going to go ahead and basic dodge. Lunge. Now we're just taking 2 damage. Shield surge. We're at full shields. And let's basic shot. So we will lose 1 shield, but we're in an amazing position. Charge Beam is here, so we don't really want to Echo A right now, but I'll show you when we do. Watch this. Draw shot. Draw 2, guaranteed to draw Charge Beam. Hit right here. Now we play Echo A, and we put Charge Beam on the top. So we guarantee that next turn we're going to do 5 damage. So as long as we do multi-shot right here, this crystal is dead with the card that we're going to draw. it is written. As long as this ship doesn't move out of our way, but we have 6 evade, so I'm going to play block shot, and I'm going to play block shot, and I'm actually going to go 1, 2, 3. We take 2 damage right here, but we have 2 temp shield, so it's nothing. And look at this. Charge beam, Echo A, perfect tag team, go. So, when you beat the boss of the sector, you get benefits, depending on the ship, I think. So we get +2 max hull, so our hit points went up from 12 to 14, and we healed by 9. So if we had taken any damage, we would have healed it, but we didn't. And now we get a cool rare card. What do we want? Well, what do we got? Weaken hull. So this attack does 2 damage, and then it weakens that part from all attacks. Now, this weaken effect, as far as I understand it here, is permanent for the rest of the fight on that spot. This will exhaust the card. It takes 3. It would be like, our entire turn to do that. But think about how good it is to make a part of their hull take an extra damage for the rest of the fight. Very, very good. The combo of playing this and then at 0 playing charge beam is amazing. So there's that. Strafe is one of my favorite powers in the game, because basically every time you evade left or right, you just shoot with your cannon. So you do a damage. So you get to a point where if you have like 9 evade, you can just move and strafe, fire on them left and right and just blow them away without even doing anything. But it costs 4. So we'd have to be in a spot where we could get some extra energy. Hand cannon is really, really fun. It's just X, and that's the amount of cards in your hand. So if you have a lot of card draw, then this gets more powerful. I want to try Weaken Hull and see if we can get this to work. So I'll select it, and then you get an artifact. So there's a parry artifact that, is for that parry, and it says at the start of combat, you get a power drive. On the second turn of combat, your enemy gets a power drive. I'm not really huge into parallel effects like this. We get it, and if we can kill them fast, that's great, but I don't like making the enemy any stronger myself. It's a risk-reward thing. Your mileage, of course, may vary. Simplicity just lets you remove 3 cards out of your deck, which is really good. And then Genesis says you gain 1 of 2 common artifacts, then gain 1 of 2, then gain 1 of 2, and then you get these Genesis canisters, which cost 3, and they sit in your deck and they bog it down, but every time you can play one of these Genesis canisters, you get rid of it for the rest of the game. So it's like you get a whole bunch of cool artifacts. They're common, and you get to pick between 2, but you get these clunker cards. So what do we want? I'm between Simplicity and Genesis. So if we took Simplicity, what would we remove? Probably this, and Bolt? I mean, I don't even know. Maybe a block shot. Do I want to do that? If I removed all of those cards, it would be my deck is basically only multi-shot, lunge, draw shot, 1 block shot, and charge beam. And I'm trying to just, get this every single time. I feel like we're already streamlined, so I think that I'm going to take the Genesis canister. It's going to be bad at first, but it's a lot of power. Let's do it. Armored Bay or Fracture Detection. So Armored Bay gives us defense like we looked at. Fracture Detection means every single fight, 1 random enemy part is brittle, which means it takes double damage, but we don't know what it is. We have to identify it. Double damage is so much, this is worth it. Piercer means the first attack every single turn goes through their shield and armor, which is cool. Jettison Hatch just lets us remove 2 instead of 1 at a repair yard, which is cool. I like Piercer. Adaptive Plating gives us an extra max hull and we heal every time we defeat a boss, or hull plating says permanently gain 3 max hull and heal 3. We'll take hull plating. I don't really care about healing after bosses and elites. On this difficulty level, it's not a huge deal, so we'll just take the extra hit points. I don't even care that much about that, but great. Nice. That's the first time you guys managed to beat that thing. Wait, really? How many times have we tried? You don't want to know. What even was it? If these readings are correct, I think it was some kind of crystal. I've seen microscopic ones in the lab and in the Cobalt's particle accelerator, but never so large. Did the microscopic ones try to kill you? Not in a way that I was able to perceive, no. Let's keep moving. So now, we click here and we go from the Lazuli Nebula to the Sapphire Cluster. Huh. The nav system is taking us through this lawless sector. This zone is full of pirates, thieves, and smugglers. Like the last one wasn't? Everyone should have their sidearms on them at all times in case we get boarded. Oh, heck yeah, do I get a gun? Everyone but you. And we're fighting a drone, but it's a Mark II drone. And it's stronger because we're in the next sector. So, everyone, we have survived. We have beaten the first sector, and this is a perfect place to end the very first episode of our Complete Beginner's Guide to Cobalt Core. I hope you have found this to be extremely useful and fun. If you have any questions, put those in the comments below. I read every single comment, and I will answer all the questions to the best of my ability to help you get into this game and understand it. We are going to make this a series and play through more content so I can explain more of the game as it emerges organically. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I'll check you in the next one. Take care.